If you're dropping a t-shirt and making an Instagram post and think you're a brand, you're in for a serious wake-up call today. What's going on, everybody? Miller McCoy here, CEO of Limitless. You're listening to Behind the Brand, Limitless Minds, Closet Casts. Still don't know a name for this podcast.
We'll figure it out eventually.
Eventually, yeah. Today we've got my partner, business partner, life partner. Well, not life partner.
We're not like that.
But friend, best friend, all sorts, jack of all traits. Steve Mangini here.
What's going on, everybody?
And just so you guys are aware, this podcast is not about fluff. It's about real game, real strategy. We're here trying to drop gems and give you guys a little inside look of what's really happening behind the closed doors here at Limitless and the industry and the success that we've seen from the brands that we work with.
Yep. Right.
And so Steve and I, we met years and years and years ago. And actually, I'll kind of let you break it down. What's kind of our origin story? And additionally, what's your origin story?
So, I mean, get into my origin story. I mean, I'm from Rochester, New York. Ended up just being a tradesman kind of as a kid. I was always just getting my hands dirty, working on construction with my uncle, landscaping with my other uncle, going through school, ended up doing plumbing, HVAC, machining, welding, really just kind of in the factory, getting my hands dirty. And ever since a kid, though, I've been an entrepreneur. I mean, from shoveling driveways around my apartment complex to my mom's a hairdresser, so I'd sweep the floor of her salon and all of the other people cutting hair, and they'd give me $5 here, $10 there, flipping little computer cases and vacuums that I saw from the dumpsters. Like, really just wanted to have business as a part of my life. So obviously I've had that, mindset there, and really getting into, as I got older, I started to make more money. I really started to get into fashion, Supreme and Off-White and all those cool hype brands that people were paying a lot of money for. I liked, and I also saw a business out of it. I was like, cool, I can buy a $200 Supreme hoodie, get it on the drop back when Supreme was,
a thing.
You had to get it like within 5 minutes or everything was sold out. I buy a hoodie, flip it for a couple $100, and I was like, cool, like now I got money to buy fashion. I'd spend $600 on an Off-White hoodie, $80 on a pair of socks, and I got to a point where I was like, why am I paying so much money for this stuff when I can spend $600 and get a couple hoodies that I can sell and make some money off of, right? That entrepreneur mindset, it kind of hit me. And so fast forward to that time, I think me and you ended up meeting when I had my clothing brand Disaster World. We were in this kind of group chat, engagement chat with, artists and designers and brand owners, to where we were like, hey, share for share.
And that was in the glory days and the heydays of this. It was well before COVID. It was early clothing brand Instagram days.
It was way different promoting your brand on Instagram in 2017 than it is now.
There's been a lot of different cycles that have gone through or seasons, right? That have gone through this whole internet brand sort of
back
world.
When you'd click on like a post on like a clothing brand and there'd be 100 comments that were like, yo, DM me, I got a question for you. And it was just like, you DM me and they'd be like, hey, can you like wear my clothing brand and like promote me? And it was like share for share and comment for comment. Like, that engagement was so different.
So I had Jason and Nina on this podcast, and so
love them.
Some of the listeners or viewers here, they might have heard that story about us kind of living together in Santa Monica, but if you guys also remember, they had to move out. That's where this guy moved in.
I took over for Jason and Nina. I am the new Jason and Nina. But I mean, to get into that story, I mean, all of this stuff happened like perfectly, right? I've always wanted to move to LA. I loved fashion. Even before that, LA was just this like dream place, like the mountains, the beach, the desert, the warm weather. Coming from Rochester, New York, I mean, I had 6 feet of snow in 24, 48 hours, right? So I was tired of that small hometown vibe. Wasn't really focused on the creative side of things. It was just get a job, do a 9 to 5,
do your thing.
Get a 401k, meet a girl, buy a house, get that white picket fence life.
Man.
That just wasn't for me. And so I've had this dream of coming out here in those group chats. me and you met.
We would dream when I was still back in Iowa. We'd sit on FaceTime calls.
Yeah.
This is before I had ever moved out here.
Yeah.
Before I ever broke my leg or really got serious with this stuff. We'd sit on FaceTime calls.
Back at the pizza place.
You're designing your first collection with Blasies, or not first collection, but you're designing that Christmas collection with Blasies.
Yep.
I'm sitting down in the storage room behind a sewing machine making some pants and stuff.
I'm sitting there with like my rhinestone transfers. I got a heat press. I'm cutting them out like really like from the roots type stuff.
Yes, man.
And so, yeah, I mean, it started from there, and then we met. Yeah. And by that time, we've talked a lot. You ended up moving out to LA. Jason and Nina obviously were living with you, and then COVID hit. And then that kind of just threw a wrench in everything. Yeah. Obviously, you broke your leg too, so that was a hinder on what you were doing. Jason and Nina had to move out. Yeah. And you're like, hey, dude, like I got an open room. Come visit me, right? Yeah. And the story's crazy. I mean, how this worked. I mean, it just really. This is that type of movie scene where you're like, this isn't real life. This was a movie, but it was real life. And I came to visit you. I think it was a Delta flight. No, it was an American Airlines flight. Yeah. I was supposed to come out just for a week. Yeah. And then I get to the airport in Rochester and it's empty. And like nobody's there pretty much.
This is right as COVID hit.
I mean, this is peak COVID where they're like, do not go outside. Yeah. Wear a mask if you do. Wear gloves, hand sanitizer, everything.
So they're canceling all the flights and whatnot.
Everything is pretty much canceled. So I walk into there, all the kiosks, American Airlines is nobody's there. Spirit, nobody's there. United, nobody's there. And I walk up to American Airlines. There's one person at the kiosk. I'm like, hey, I have a flight. I have it right here. And they're like, oh no, like that's canceled. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, is there any flights going to Los Angeles? I'm fully prepared. I'm packed. Like I want to go out. You gotta
make this, yeah.
And they're like, well, head over to Delta. I know that they have a flight in like an hour. I'm like, perfect. So I go over to Delta. I had a round trip. Like I said, it was supposed to be 1 week, and I was coming back. They didn't have a round trip at that time, so I just went up to Delta. I'm like, let me get a one-way flight to LA. Ended up coming out here, meeting you. That 1 week ended up turning into 2 weeks. Within that second week, we ended up, getting that
internship job. Yeah.
We won't name with who. We won't slander on here, but we ended up getting an internship job, and they wanted to hire you. They liked me. They wanted to hire me, and I'm like, hey, listen, I don't even live out here. I'm like, I love this. This is what I've dreamed of, but I don't live out here. Yeah. And they said, hey, I'm going to give you 30 days, offers on the table, come back in 30 days, and you got the job. And I said, screw it. Cool. I'm leaving in a couple days. Yep. I'll see you guys in about 27 days. So I went back home. I packed up my stuff, said goodbye to friends and family, spent a nice, couple weeks there. Ended up getting in my car, my old Infiniti, packing my entire small room into a coupe.
In a coupe Infiniti, not the minivan.
We're not talking 4-door. Yeah. We're talking 2-door. Limited space. Even when you were sitting in the back seat, wasn't much. Somehow, some way, I made it all fit.
With a heat press in there too.
With a heat press.
And your whole room.
With everything in there besides like a mattress and like actual like a dresser and stuff. Got Saf to drive with me.
Yep.
My sister loaded me up on, I think, 25 Bang Energies that we ended up consuming all of them on the way here. And if you guys don't know, Rochester, New York to Los Angeles is a 36-hour drive. Put this into perspective, I did that in 38 hours. We really didn't stop. No. When I was tired, slept in the passenger seat. Saf was driving. And when he was tired, vice versa. We stopped one time in Denver to like chill and see the mountains, and then came out here, and it's been history ever since. Yeah. We had our place. We had our place in Hollywood, we had our place in Calabasas, and now we have our place in Encino.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's incredible. That's incredible. And so, Steve, with that, we were both kind of running our brands. I think I've given a little origin story about Limitless before, but I kind of want to break it down a little more. We were running our brands. We were doing a lot of like styling and just like a lot of networking. We were doing the original LA thing. Yeah. Right? We were putting ourselves out there in the scene. We were getting out as often as we can, right? Going to all the events, meeting all the people, going and doing studio stuff and with artists and musicians in their recording studios, pulling up the laptops, doing this. I remember when we went to Rocket's house.
Yep.
And we were making all the designs there for Rocket and everybody.
And that was when that earthquake happened, right?
It was during an earthquake. Yeah.
That was like,
and we're in a high rise.
Yeah, and it started swaying.
Yeah,
and that was my first earthquake. I was like, hold up. I've never had this experience before.
Yeah.
Now a tall skyscraper on like the 20th floor is like veering left and right. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, dude. So we're doing the traditional LA thing. And after a little while, you know, we were getting a lot of people in our clothes and we were starting to get some traction with our clothes. And then not only that, but people were like, yo, you guys make cool clothes. You guys make cool brands.
Yeah.
Like, is there a way where you can just do this, do this for us?
Exactly.
Right. And so that's kind of how Limitless first started. And we really, at that time, we just knew the production side of things.
Exactly.
And we were even pros at it.
I mean, we thought we knew.
Yeah.
And we didn't know jack shit at all.
Yeah. And so we got our first few orders in under our belt. And they had gone okay, no big blow ups, some learning and, some timeline mistakes and errors that we learned from as well.
Sure.
And then slowly after that, we started just kind of building a little base and we started realizing that this could happen. And then I remember we met Buddy.
Yep.
And
what a night.
What a night, man. And Buddy was just over here the other day. We were getting to shoot the shit and just rehash this story again. But so we got to meet Buddy, and that was kind of our real segue into being able to build this into a real company.
That was like the powder keg. Like we had everything kind of building up to that moment, and then we just needed like one actual opportunity where we could like make some decent money and then go, oh, okay, like
this is real.
This can make money.
Yeah.
Because I think at first for me personally, like doing what we did, it felt like a hard sell.
Oh yeah.
Because like we were just utilizing the people that we utilize for our personal stuff.
Yeah.
And it just almost felt weird that like we could kind of liaison the service.
Yeah.
Especially it just being the manufacturing. It's not like what we do now.
Yeah.
And so it was like weird. It was like we can make money doing this.
Yeah.
Like people just don't want to deal with something. And so they're going to put something on somebody else. Because us as brand owners, like, and I say this all the time, brand owners traditionally want to do all of that stuff themselves. So that's why to me, I was like, you don't want to do this yourself? Like, you don't want to make your own hoodie. You want somebody else to do it?
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, living through all that, we realize now that people are busy and they have their own things and maybe they don't actually give a crap about the fashion. They just want to make product and make money,
Yeah, absolutely. And so, with that, throughout the 4 or 5, almost 6 years that we've been doing this, we've really been able to kind of carve out our own lanes. And as we've been building out this team, I think it's really gotten clear. It first started. I remember when we first understood what a system was. Yeah. Right. When we brought on Kelsey for just consulting at first, and she was like, "You guys need to build out a real system in here." And she was implementing Jot forms and a CRM and all this sort of stuff. Right. And then from there, like, we were able to kind of organize everything that we were doing at a very small level. And then after that, we started just focusing in on the marketing aspect and trying to just get more clients in through the door, whatever level or size they were, you know?
And it was funny because, like, shout out Kelsey. I mean, she really helped build the infrastructure of like what we are now, because we were just like taking people in as like text messages and like
and notes.
Exactly. Like we were operating, and at that point too, like we were making decent money.
Yeah.
But like there wasn't a business behind it.
No,
it was just
no
like
business.
word of mouth. It was like, oh, you want something? Cool. Miller, who do you got? Oh, I got these people. Cool. Like, what should we charge them? Like, what point of the process are they even in?
Yeah.
And like Kelsey helped, make that happen, because people were just DMing us. Like we were just literally getting clients through DMs.
Yes. Yes. All day long.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, it felt like it began very fast, but it was a slow burn. Probably 2 years into this thing is really when we started kind of getting some real traction underneath us.
Yeah.
And we started realizing, like, okay, we need to almost departmentize this thing,
Exactly.
right? We need to find people that are really good at what they do to allow us to focus in on what we're really good at, you
Yep.
know? And I think, you know, with you on the creative side, you know, you bring a lot to the table when it's through the creative direction sort of side, when it's through the design, the marketing eyes, you know, just the whole entire presentation side,
Yep.
right? And I think I complement it on the other end where it's like, I understand the business
Yep.
and the way that business is supposed to go and flow, right? I
Exactly.
come from a family of business,
Yep.
you know, and additionally, there's just like the generalized brand and the building of the brand.
Yep.
You know, I was talking on the other podcast there where it was like, it takes 8 years. And the president of Coca-Cola claims it takes 8 years to make a recognizable brand inside of the country.
Yep.
So it's like, if you just think that you can do this for a year and build a brand, it's like, oh man, you're in for a wake up call.
Exactly.
That's not how this works.
And I mean, the same way that like building a brand is the same way that like we built our company. I mean, like you said, we're this like yin yang
yeah,
of like, we complement each other because we do the things that like we don't want. Like we do like I do the things that you don't really want to spend the time doing, and then you do the things that I don't really want to spend the time doing, and we both get enjoyment out of it.
yeah,
Which is how we've been able to grow this. Because like, if you have two people that want to do the same things, I feel like there's so many hurdles you got to jump over.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, you want it this way, I want it this way. It's like, how about you just do what you do best? I do what I do best. And I'm a firm believer in that. Of like, when you build a team, whether it's for a company or you're building your clothing brand, you know, you're gonna employ the people that are the best at what they do. And we've seen this when we've hired people. I know that, you know, there's been times where we've hired people on and you've been like, hey, I know he's not right for this, but like, let's get him in this. And I'm like, hey, listen, I get it, but like, we either don't have him here or we do what he does best if we need it. Because if I'm hiring somebody on our team and they're an amazing creative and I have them sitting on email all day, they're not going to do it to the best of their ability. They're just going to half-ass it.
And there's no enjoyment that they're going to get from them. So why they're not going to put their heart into this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think, you know, being creative director, you know, it's a very general, broad term. I mean, different businesses and companies and stuff use it differently, but at least the way we do it, I kind of handle like the content, the design, the website, and like the graphic side of things.
Yep.
And you know, it's something that I love to do. Like I live and breathe that. Like, and you know me, I mean, I'll sit and I'll do emails and I'll do phone calls and sales calls, which I'm good at.
Yeah.
But it's not really my forte, right? I can do it, but what really makes me excited to wake up is let me type up some content. Let me work with Corey on the design side of things.
And for the first 3-4 years of us running this business, you had to wake up and do the things that you weren't super.
We all had to.
You know, we all had to play every single role and every single part in this business from the ground up, from being the errand boy to being the fabric sourcer to being the production manager to being the salesperson to doing cold calls and cold emails and pitches and building decks and literally every
faking
single
it
thing.
till we made it, honestly, in every aspect of possible.
But I will say almost the fake it till you make it thing, like, yes, it's true, but it's also like we didn't really fake it. We were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and we were teaching ourselves and learning literally all the ins and outs of every angle of the business to now we're to this point where it's like we understand the business at a very intricate top level where it's like, I know if we need to hire somebody for this role, exactly what to look for and exactly what their responsibilities should look like and how they should do that.
Exactly.
So it allows us to create actual SOPs that we know are proven to work.
Exactly.
It allows us to create scripts that we know are proven to work. It allows us to use certain verbiage and work with certain partners and all that sort of stuff.
And that's another thing that I'm big on is like, you have to know at least a little bit of what you're employing somebody to do.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, employing somebody to be the best at what they do in that role is important. But at least for me specifically, I can't hire a graphic designer unless I have a general understanding of graphic design. Because
spot on.
How am I going to manage you efficiently, right?
Yeah.
If I just have no idea what it is and I want to call myself this creative director and this guy's insane at graphic design and he's successful and he's got 100K on, you know, Instagram or whatever, and I bring him in, how am I going to know if he's doing good work?
Yeah.
How do I know if like he's going to be following what we need? If I just say, hey, go do your thing and I'll check back in when you're done, like I'm not getting the value out of it that I am. So it's very important. And it's actually such a benefit that like, you know, we had to wear all those hats.
Yeah.
And we had to do fulfillment ourselves. We had to do design ourselves. We had to run business, do sales, and do all of that because now it allows us to actually employ the correct people.
Yeah.
You know?
And same thing with like the customer service that we provide for the brands, right? Like the e-com brands that were running the customer service. We had to do.
Yeah.
You remember for a year plus we were running all Bronson's customer service and stuff like that. We know how to present ourselves to the end consumer, what to say, how to say it. So now we're able to look at our team, customer service team, and be like, yo, this is how you handle these situations.
Exactly.
This is what you say. This is how we can make the end consumer still happy, trustworthy, and want to come back again, right? As opposed to, you know, there's been plenty of times where I've said the wrong thing or
I've been just like, I really don't want to answer this person right now because I don't want to deal with like the problem because it's not a problem that I deal with, you know, like,
and pushing off that problem snowballs it to a bigger problem,
Exactly.
snowballs it to a bigger problem. So we've had a lot of learning and we've worn literally every hat you can wear inside of this business.
Yeah.
Even from making the content side, remember, I'm in White Oak. You're flying out to White Oak, right? Like, and we're making these videos off of the iPhone. We're sending them to a Fiverr editor to edit them up, right? Or like, I'm trying to drop them into CapCut and make my own little tweaks to them, and like, and now we've got Polly that actually understands how to do it at a very proficient high level, and we know how to actually provide some sense of direction as to, yo, these are the type of content things that we want to make. These are the type of stories that we want to tell. This is the form that we want to roll through, right? Like we can. And you can manage that in an efficient manner, in an efficient way that, you know, Polly can come in here, make a system that works for him. As long as it's hitting all the check marks, boom, it's going to get done.
Exactly.
You know, and so with that being said, you know, a lot of people think that building a brand is just about the design or is just about the product. And don't get me wrong, that's important. But again, it's a wake-up call because without a system behind it, your brand's dead on arrival. You know, without us having to learn all of these things inside of the business, right? If we just only thought that this was about making the product, our business would be dead on arrival. We wouldn't get to where we're at today.
And I mean, that's exactly why we innovated the way we did. I mean, because at first it was just manufacturing that we did. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, this is this much value, but like, if we're just doing this, they're going to go to another team for other things, and then that other team might offer manufacturing, and then we lose that business. So our entire goal over the past 4 or 5 years was like, how can we, you know, provide more and more and more value, which is why it started as manufacturing. Then it got into graphic design. That's the next logical step. Well, now if you're making the designs and you're making the products, you probably want to start managing the e-commerce stores to actually sell them. Well, okay, you're selling the products now. Well, who's shipping them? Well, maybe we should start shipping them. And now customers are ordering wrong sizes, wrong colors. They typed in their address wrong. Well, now who's doing the customer support, you know, and who's taking those product pictures? And outside of that, who is, you know, actively trying to get your brand into retail stores or collaboration? So it's like we've been able to build this thing that is essentially this whole ecosystem now of you have a brand, or maybe you don't, but you have an idea or you have a brand. You come to us so that we can actually make it into something that can live and breathe as an actual fully functioning company.
Spot on. And let's go into that. You said, or you don't, right? So I kind of want to spend a little bit of time here talking about what it actually takes to build a brand here in 2025, right? The landscape is a lot different in today's world than it was when we were first starting our brands.
Exactly.
Right. And so there's the myth of, oh, dude, just like make a hoodie and post it online and hope it sells. Right. Well, that's why brands fail. Exactly. And that's why a lot of people lose the spark because they go in it with that mindset, right? Oh, I can just make a really cool design. I can literally just post it on Instagram or post it on TikTok. 1,000 people are going to see it and I'm going to sell 100 hoodies.
Exactly.
It's not,
it's not it. And honestly, I just made a video with Paulo going over 4 reasons brands fail, which is also not just why they fail, but what they're not taking into account. And like you said, You can't just take a hoodie and slap a logo on it. And I said this verbatim in the video, and it's going to pull heartstrings on people, but you just taking a logo or a design and slapping it on a t-shirt or a hoodie or a hat, it's not design. It's lazy. You're taking one thing and you're slapping it on 10 different products. It's boring. Like you need to build a story. Yes. A story is so important. And we hit on this with our clients all the time of like, if you don't have a reason to buy this, why should somebody? You know, I could take this Aloe logo and I can slap it on anything, but it's not going to sell unless there's a story behind it. And Aloe does a really good job. I mean, you've done a video on the hat as well. It's or at least like an Instagram, video or something. It's a basic hat with I think it's a silicone hit of a heat press on there. It's nothing crazy, but people are going to pay for it and buy it because the story behind Aloe. And so I think that's one of the reasons why people foul is they don't have a story to follow. You have to have something that resonates. Yeah. The other thing is, the way you design stuff is boring. It just, people can tell. I mean, the barrier of entry is so low in the fashion game now, where you can start a brand, you can get a designer, you can make a website, and honestly, 24, 48 hours for really cheap, it's going to look terrible, but you can do it, right? And there's thousands of brands that do that like every single day across the world. So it's like, if you're just going to do that, how are you going to compete, right? Yeah. And then the other reason that I think is that like, you just don't have a trend you're setting. You know, if you're going to just take what's hot, let's say a hoodie that everybody's doing, and you're going to just do it too, well, you're not building you're not starting a trend. If
you're chasing the trends, you're never going to be the trendsetter, and you're never going to be the one that sets the narrative. Exactly. Right? You need to have that story that your target core fan base can get behind, live through, live vicariously through that story, and be able to set that trend for you. Yeah. I mean, you got to be that. You got to be that supreme that everybody wanted to do a box logo forever and copy. I mean, even more in modern times, we'll take a look at Hellstar, right? Hellstar did a great way of like making their crazy spray paint, big face branding all over. Like, they made that hot. And then, we've seen it. Oh, dude. Hundreds of brands are doing the same thing, and then they're not selling anything. And it's like, why? Well, it's because Hellstar's already a thing. Why would I buy yours when I can just go buy the Hellstar? Yeah, buy the popular one, the one that if I buy it, people are going to look at it and be like, oh, he's got Hellstar, right? Like, he's not going to buy this random brand that looks like Hellstar. Yeah. And so they did a great job at doing that. And Cortez is like the new Supreme, right? Yes. Like, they are taking things and doing it their own way. And if you have, I mean, it's just a very common saying, like, imitation is the best form of flattery. And that's why those brands do well, because they have people imitating, they have people pushing to want to be them. Yeah. And then they're this just like top dog that's like unattainable. Absolutely. So that's a big thing, is setting trends. If you're not setting trends and you're following, you're going to get left in the dust within 3 to 6 months. You might have one hot product that goes on TikTok that you sell 100 or 1,000 units of, and then you keep doing that, and then you realize, oh my gosh, like I have no originality. I don't even know what my brand is besides trying to be a shadow of another bigger brand. Spot on. Yeah. Spot on. And additionally with that, there's the production and operations side of things, right? A lot of people will think that they can get away with always doing pre-orders. A lot of people think that they can always get away with, taking that a cheap tee and throwing their logo on it. And it's like, that's not continuously going to work, right? Like, especially in today's landscape of the streetwear scene, right? A lot of people today in streetwear think that they can sell their t-shirt for a couple $100. I think Zach FTP literally put a post up the other day where he's like, I saw that. Having a streetwear brand and selling your tee for $200 is not for the streets. Yeah. Right? Like, streetwear mixed in like unintentionally with like luxury, and people it's the Virgil effect. Yeah. Really? It's the Virgil effect. It is. And shout out, Virgil. I mean, you've done a lot, but as a byproduct, people have thought that they can just do crazy stuff and charge an insane amount for it, as people who are essentially, lack of a better term, nobody's in the space. Yeah. Yes. Shout out Virgil. And we had this conversation a couple weeks ago too with Aaron.
Yeah.
You know, shout out Aaron too. But like, yo, it's just a wild, it's really a wild west right now. I don't really think that there's a lot of proper direction that a lot of these people are going in. I think people are finding a short-term success on following a trend and becoming a shadow of somebody else, and then trying to continuously replicate that, as opposed to trying to carve their own narrative and do their own storytelling and create their products mindfully and really being a mastermind behind the product. They're just looking at what's currently working and trying to recycle that.
Exactly.
You know, and that's not sustainable. That's not going to build you a brand or a business, right? And
it's a get rich quick scheme. I mean, if you get into fashion to make money, you probably will on a piece or two.
Yeah.
And if you're in it for the money, the same thing for any type of art, any type of creative. If you want to make it for the byproduct of something else other than just creating the art, you're going to fail because you're in it for the wrong reasons. Like if you start YouTube to make money and become a successful YouTuber, you're not going to because you don't realize that there's like hours of editing, there's years of posting content until you actually get one video that blows up. But you've built that brand for so long and you've stayed true to it to where once you do this, we'll call it 2-year overnight success. You actually have substance to build off of.
Spot on, man. And you know, I've seen, and I know you've seen it, right? Like we've seen people spend, they save up all their money. They spend 10 grand on making their collection and they have $0 allocated for marketing. Or building, again, that narrative, doing that storytelling, right? And it's like, how do you ever expect to sell any clothes, right? If you don't have a marketing plan before your release, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly. And like marketing is, you know, it's not just paid, you know, it's that organic too. And people just think sometimes of marketing is like, I got to spend money. It's like, you don't even think, like, we live in a day and age where content is king. And I'll say that again, content is king. If you are not putting out content, nobody's going to see your company, especially again, with the million brands that come out every single year. How is somebody going to see you if you're just walking around the neighborhood trying to post your product up?
Yeah. And with that too, a lot of people think that, okay, well, to do the marketing, I need to have an ad budget set aside. And there's actually, I can't remember her name of it. I shared it with us the other day, but there's this 25-year-old lady over in New York who has created a brand that I think just got like $1 billion evaluation behind it. And she has not put a single dollar into paid Instagram, Facebook, TikTok ads. What she's done is she herself has became the billboard for her brand. She wears all of her stuff. She posts all of her stuff, right? And it's just like her going to the coffee shop, wearing her new collection and getting that coffee and creating this lifestyle through her organic content that she's created that makes people want to love it, right? She'll literally make a 30-second video of her going to the coffee shop, buying a coffee, and 2 hours later, her whole collection has sold out. And a week later, she's got thousands of girls that have purchased her clothes that are now repeating what she just did and taking videos and photos of it and then tagging her and sharing it on Instagram. And then she just goes ahead and screen records and retakes and repurposes all of those videos and builds it onto a new marketing page that, you know, she's not spending a single dime on doing paid marketing. It's all organic UGC marketing.
And she's pushing a lifestyle with that. There's a reason she's going into coffee shops and stuff. If she didn't want to push to people who may like coffee shops or do what she does in those videos, there's a reason she's doing that. You know, she's not going, I mean, I don't really know the company, but if she's not trying to promote to gym people or people who go to the gym and fitness, she probably won't be taking videos of her clothes in the gym. You know, it's like, that is the story again, why people are going to build on top of your brand, why they're going to support you. Yeah. And I mean, in terms of paid, I mean, you know my stance on it, and people kind of differ. I like to think that paid advertisement is the last thing that you should do. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I think it's a great idea for brands that actually have a plan behind it. But if you're going to get in off the bat without trying to make your own content, without trying to push yourself and be your own marketer, and you're just like, cool, I got an extra $1,000. I'm just going to put this into some ads and try to figure out what keywords I want to do and some SEO and whatever. You're shooting yourself in the foot, because as soon as you start paying these companies, Google, Meta, TikTok, whatever, Snapchat, they want your money. It's a business.
Yeah.
You know, like as soon as you stop paying them, that's when you see accounts get shadow banned.
Yeah.
That's when you see accounts get their engagement plummeting down.
Yep.
And so I like to say, exhaust all of your things and then use paid advertisement in conjunction with those. Don't rely on just that. If you're going to rely on one thing, just rely on organic, guerrilla marketing, organic content.
You got to always be able to bet on yourself.
Exactly.
It's
not 2013 anymore where you're going to like post it. I mean, billboards were huge back in like the early streetwear space. If you had a billboard and you put it on Melrose.
Oh, you were the shit,
That
man.
was the
coolest
hot shit ever.
Yeah.
And you had all the fashion kids walking up and down. You had the billboard. Like, that was the flex. Now billboards don't really like garnish much interest. And like, we've seen that like people are just like digitally putting a fake billboard up on Melrose. It's not even their billboard. They just photoshopped it and it's still that same purpose. So spend 5 minutes on Photoshop and do that.
Yeah.
And you might get that same traction as
same effect.
Yeah, you don't got to spend $1,000 for a week on a billboard, you know?
No.
So that's my stance.
I want to do a little rapid fire game here. So just a little segment, shooting out the gates. What's your favorite brand right now?
Ooh, honestly,
it can be jewelry, it can be fashion. It can be
I think. Well, I got two. I got a favorite brand for fashion. I got a favorite brand for jewelry. I don't have too many pieces on for the brand right now, but Named Collective. They're actually really dope. They make, I think they're out of Europe, to be honest with you. I'm not completely sure. But I had a like nice wool knitted sweater from them, and it's dope. I just got it, and super high quality. And I've been looking into more of their pieces, and like just really love the quality. They're doing this kind of comfort but grungy kind of playing on materials. It's not just, again, tees, hoodies, sweatpants. It's like wools, cashmeres. They're doing button-ups. They're really trying to make it look really cool. And they've been on Instagram. They do really good promotion there. So shout out Name Collective. I'm a big jewelry guy. You know, I got the chain. I normally have earrings, a bracelet. I don't really have much there. But Kurth, they make these rings. I have 1, 2, 3. This one's not, but Kurth is definitely a European brand. I don't know. I'm into European stuff right now.
This Europe.
But they just make
trots to Europe once and becomes a European guy.
Twice.
But
yeah, I really love them. They make super high quality. It's really affordable for the price. I mean, these rings were, I think, $60 each, and then this silver one was, I think, upwards of like 100. But they make really cool things. They got cool gemstones. I really love like just, you know, the grunginess of them. So that's my favorite stuff for now.
Good word. And then, what would you say is the most underrated part of launching a brand?
Honestly, underrated is probably making cool stuff. Like it seems overrated, but it's like, if I'm going to be honest with you, like a lot of these brands that pop out are just not making cool things. Like I scroll Instagram and I see ads all the time for like, again,
they all look the same.
Copy paste. I mean, like being original, I guess, could be another thing that's underrated. Just like make your own lane and do it.
Okay, yeah. And what's the one mistake you made early on that you would wish that nobody would make again? For you know,
in terms of like my clothing or life or the company or what?
All the above.
I mean, in terms of, honestly, everything all combined into one is thinking I know more than I do.
Yeah.
You know that went into business, that went into just life, and specifically a lot in my clothing brand. Like I tried to dive in way too deep head first into thinking, oh, I know how to make a garment. I'm just going to make a sample. I'm going to trust this person, or I'm going to give somebody an idea and trust that they can do it without me, again, knowing the process.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had my brand Disaster World, and it did really good towards the end of it, but I thought I knew so much. And if I could go back in time and like redo it, I just can see so many ways where I'm like, I had this ego. I was so stupid about trying to do this. So
that's also the entrepreneur brain in you, right? A lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in this trap where it's like, oh, I don't want to hear what you have to say because I lock myself in my room and I spend all day and night doing this thing.
Yeah.
You don't know more than me. And it's like,
Yeah. It's
listen.
it's a blessing and a curse, but I guess a better one would be ego. Like, drop the ego. Like, thinking that your stuff is the coolest stuff because you made it, or you know what you think you know, and you're not willing to learn or take advice. Like, big thing is drop that ego, and you'll see life in a much different picture.
And then last one I've got, dream collab. So either like a business collab or dream brand partner that we could work with here at Limitless.
Man, dream brand partner that we could work with. I mean, I love Chrome.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite brands, but it's so overrated to just say that. But I think getting a Chrome Hearts contract would be sweet. I love the garments. So if anybody here is watching Chrome Hearts,
Ryan, we need you to get us this Chrome, man.
Please, man. I mean, I got the ring, I got the chain. Like, I would love to make the hoodie. I mean, I'm not saying anything people don't know, but the margins are great there, and I like the quality, and I love metal and cool jewelry and stuff. So I think that would be dream.
We could do a sick collection for you guys.
Yeah. Hit us up, sales@limitlessmanufacturinggroup.com.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. That's all we've got. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything else that you want to see more of, hear more of. And Steve, I hope you can co-host more shows with me, man.
Definitely will.